I'm not that far.
I'm having a bit of trouble with my knobs.
Well, one of them, then maybe turn the other one round, because it needs to be, one of them has got the sensor.
Come on, Joel.
Just turn it round, that one, and see what happens now. See what happens now. Is it, yeah, right.
White. Oh, it's work the white.
Yeah, got to press it, that's it, you got it. All right, we're in business now.
Better than you do.
So,
That's
yeah.
really, it's really.
David is the worst of the lot, isn't he? Right, okay. I can't say chair, because that's me. And that would be rather pretentious. President, fellow members and guests. Democratic Republic of Congo is the murder and rape capital of Africa. And I really do mean the capital. The situation there is appalling. M23 are the rebels, mostly Tutsis from Rwanda, attacking the Hutus who carried out the genocide in Rwanda. So the Hutus have set themselves up in Congo, and the M23 are busy trying to kill them all off, because they keep on attacking Rwanda. So that's the situation. Then you can run into the next problem, which is trying to run a country in those conditions. Now, I was asked to go and take a look at the communication problem they had, and that was easy. The problem they had was people were getting killed, taking the victim statements and the witness statements from the rural police stations to Goma, which is the capital and the northeast capital, and to the judiciary there, where they could actually prosecute and have trials. So they tried taking the paperwork out, and the jeeps or whatever that's carrying it get blown up and everybody killed, and the documents are destroyed. So they wanted to find a way of doing it. So I came up with the system of using a scanner, so you could scan the documents in as JPEGs, and because it's a JPEG, it's not easy to disguise the fact you've changed something. So if someone did get the documents, the JPEG images, and adjusted things, it would be noticed. So that was good for the security of it. Next thing is, how do you get the JPEGs to Goma? Well, originally I thought, okay, computer, and I chose the Panasonic Tough book because you could drop it and belt it and it would do anything. It doesn't matter what you did to it unless you dumped it in water. But the what they call it, the Europol police, who were monitoring what was going on, said, no, they'll get nicked because they're small. So we then had PCs, sort of tower jobs with big monitors, and each of them had a scanner attached to it, so they were much harder to nick. We put in a solar panel and battery and inverter to provide voltage for the system. Attached to each of the computers was a thing called a dongle, which was basically a mobile phone, but it didn't have the facility to make calls and that. It was data. So you plug that into the computer, and the data would be transmitted over the cell phone network to Goma. No, not really. They were on 2G. What were you lot on? 4 or 5. 2 is incredibly slow. So we had to sort of, no, we can't do that. What we'll have to do is look at satellite systems. So we've got a bagel satellite system, which is quite small. It's about that big in a box. And you just stand it, turn it, and point it at a satellite, and then you just use it like a phone. But this one was data only, so you couldn't nick it and use it as a telephone. It didn't work. It only does data. So that worked. And so we had a situation where we could take a rural police station and transmit the documents to Goma, where the headquarters were for the judiciary, and they could download it and use the documents to produce cases against the people that have been accused of rape and murder. So that was absolutely brilliant. It all worked. It wasn't all tough. I was going to go to one of the other rural police stations, and I was told by the people in Gomer's courthouse not really to go there, because it's been noted there are rocket-propelled grenades on that road, and the wagon we were driving in couldn't cope with them. It could cope with bullets, but not with grenades, rocket-propelled grenades. So we decided we wouldn't go. But Chomby, who was the country director, said, well, since we've got nothing to do all day, why don't we go and see my mate Colonel Caesar up on the front line? So, yes, all right. So off we went, and every so often there'd be a ping on the vehicle as a bullet had hit it, and several times you'd hear an AK-47 start up and someone was spraying us from the other side of the border. So we got to Chomby's place, and that was really weird. It was a building which is sort of fairly well damaged by bombs and things, but it had an area where there were probably about 30 odd troops lying about, drinking, smoking, some on ganja, just resting basically. And what happens then? We go into the office where Colonel Caesar was, and he had a bed in there because he slept in there, and the room was full of weapons, heavy caliber machine guns, stacks of bullets, you name it, was all in there. While we were talking, I said, well, what's all this here? He said, well, you don't think I'm going to give this lot to that lot until the shooting starts, do you? Thinking, okay, yes, I can understand that. So, back to Gomer. And that was another eye-opener, because I didn't realise how bad M23. They'd been through several times into Gomer and done a lot of damage. And of course the volcano went probably 10 years ago, and there's still evidence of the volcanic rock from where it had solidified. So Gomer's a bit poor, very poor. And I did do something which I'd never done before. I went into the market and bought a roll of cloth, which was basically the DRC flag and the dates of their independence, etc. And I had made into 2 shirts. A tailor who would do it there and then, so he made me 2 shirts. But while I was sitting in a cafe, waiting for him to finish, I could see youngsters roaming around with sort of plastic pots full of water and soap, and they were washing cars. But the Pakistani troops were grooming them to take them away. And when I said to the country director, this is absolutely appalling, they should not be allowed to do that. And he said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'll report it. If you want to go home, I wouldn't do that. So basically, no, you try that and you're dead. So that's one of the things I really worry about. The other thing is, of course, UN troops have complete immunity. It doesn't matter what they do, they cannot be prosecuted, they can only be sent home. So, it's even more frustrating. Just looking at the last part, this is hard to believe. M23 recently attacked Gomer and got in, they got quite a way in there. They released some of the prisoners from the jail. The prisoners decided they would rape every woman in the jail. They then burnt the jail down with the women still in it. And that is what it's like, the mentality of some of those people there. It is really, really bad. Not a place I'd like to go back to. There are a lot better. A lot better countries to go to, Rwanda being one of them. Rwanda is probably one of the best African countries for security and no hassle. It's a really nice place. that's basically what I'm talking about. So thank you very much, folks. That's DRC.